What kinds of comments do you dread seeing the most?
People who say things like, if you care so much about the environment, then why are you using Instagram? Because using social media it technically contributes to carbon emission.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, 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 no. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hi, my name is Qiyun. I'm an environmental studies graduate from NUS, and I used that education to start the Instagram account at The Weird and Wild.
Hi, my name is Kate and I'm a 19-year-old sustainability advocate. I founded this initiative called Bring Your Own Bottle Singapore. Then from there, I kind of just started branching out into other climate issues as well.
In this game of Hold Up, both of us will be reviewing online opinions about climate change, and together we'll decide how we feel about these opinions and choose a button to press.
If we love the comment, we'll press the green button. If we don't, we'll press red. But if a comment gives us mixed feelings or we feel it's worth a deeper discussion, we'll press Hold Up to pause the game and have a conversation.
I'm a bit nervous.
I think I'm actually quite excited because I don't think there's any comments that I haven't really seen before.
I know the internet can be quite brutal, so I am just like bracing myself for what might come. Okay, I'll just let you all handle how that comes out, okay? I belong to the fourth R, refuse.
That's an easy one.
Okay,
Yeah.
green.
Man-made climate change is a myth, so no need to worry. It has 3 downvotes. Yeah?
Yeah. Green movements are generally made up of idealistic kids who don't have bills to pay, a job to keep, and a family to feed. Okay, let's go. I think idealism isn't a bad thing, and it tends to get demonized quite a bit. Like, oh, you're idealistic means you're not practical about the reality that you live in. We have seen how hot it was the past few days, and then the damn erratic rains that come once in a while, and then it gets super humid. And I know that that's only going to get worse, and that's going to be my reality in my 30s and 40s. You assume that people who have the bandwidth to do these things is because they have nothing else to worry about, when it could be the complete reverse. The amount of plastic used in Singapore is pretty disgraceful. No, you don't need a bag to hold your drink in a plastic cup with a straw. Yeah, agree. It is very simple. All turn vegan, don't use heater or aircon, don't use PC and mobile phones law. Basically, reverse back to stone age.
I think there's this misconception that like living a sustainable lifestyle means you have to go and buy all these eco-friendly products, when to me it's really just being more mindful about what you consume in general and like cutting back on your spending. All these efforts are going to be stalled until the older people pass on. Wow. Actually, sometimes when people say like, oh, the older generation doesn't care about like environment, I always disagree. They grew up in an age of scarcity, and because of that, some of them are actually very thrifty. There are all those neighborhood shops where you can buy like biscuits and old school snacks in bulk, which is very similar to zero waste stores that we have now. Or like my grandparents, they always repair first before they throw things out. So I think those concepts actually the older generation does hold.
You know, when we look at environmentalism, right, it means different things to different people and different ages. If you really think about how they lived, it's what we deem as sustainable now, just that we put the label to it lah.
Don't bother, you're only contributing to 1 out of 7 billion of the environmental damages. No.
Honestly, it's a very helpless feeling to try to be sustainable as an individual. You walk instead of taking the bus. You take the bus instead of drive. You refuse plastic bags and straws. You bring a reusable grocery bag. You drink from your water bottle. Meanwhile, industries are pumping out more carbon in a day than you will generate in a year.
Relate.
Yeah, okay, I'll agree in that. It is a very helpless feeling.
Just don't have kids. Okay, let's talk about this one.
Yeah.
Actually, like personally, I'm not planning to have kids. Not only like it's one additional carbon footprint, but I think also the fact that the world we're living in don't know how many years, the climate disasters will be quite scary.
Would you want to bring a child into a world that you know is probably not going to be very habitable, to put it like very bluntly?
Yeah.
Do you get criticism? Like sometimes I say that and then people are like, how can you say this? You know, the replacement rate is already so low. How can you commit to such a thing?
Yeah.
But if I do have a partner, then this is not one person's decision. It's also like my partner's decision, and that gets complicated, I guess. Because there are people who say that they don't want to like give birth to another kid, but they would adopt children because they do see it as, you know, there are people that need loving. Why not we do something about it? Very, very difficult and very personal question. I think recycling and waste sorting should be required by law, whereby one can get fined for tossing a recyclable in the wrong bin. Yeah,
same.
I don't think something has to be required by law in order for people to do a good thing. It can just be certain behavioral tweaks of the space to encourage people to recycle or sort.
Maybe unpopular opinion here, but I think this plastic straw movement is detrimental to our progress in being more green by taking away attention from major polluters like food and transport. I think it's detrimental in the sense that sometimes like individual action can take away the attention from bigger systems around us. Instead of the focus on one plastic straw, I would encourage people to write to a business instead, because I think a business changing their policy has much bigger impact.
I'm sure after the rally, many of them threw away their rally signs away, took Grab to a mall, bought a cup of bubble tea with a plastic carrier, researched their next holiday, ordered stuff online, went home to sleep in aircon. Okay, you know what? Let's just press this.
I used to hold a lot of guilt for, let's say, drinking bubble tea. I think I've reached a point where I acknowledge I live in an imperfect system, so whatever I can do, I do.
These actions do take a bit of effort, but that is really because the system we're in, the structures that we live in, already prime us to be not sustainable in the first place. The hypocrisy is there, is inevitable. I probably have done don't know how much damage just trying to get here. We have to live with it and try to change the kind of systems that force us to live a certain way, but don't beat yourself up about it.
I feel like a lot of comments revolved around the same misconceptions, which is like sustainability is expensive, that you cannot be an environmentalist and use plastic at the same time.
And I think we get that quite often because those are things that I feel like even on our Instagram we have to fight that myth, all those myths on a daily basis.
Why I want to bring it up is because there are a lot of new people coming into the movement every day, and they're all trying their best, and then when they see comments like that, it could just throw them off, and then they start to feel like, then it's so difficult, then why should I bother in the first place?
Hopefully we manage to, convince people about certain views that you see come up quite often. I feel that if people see certain comments, if they can, do reply and engage and try to correct some of these things, because it's not gonna go away lah. Yeah, we need consistent effort.
And also if there's anything that people disagree with what we said, I would be quite happy to hear that alternate perspective.
Yeah. Thanks for watching this episode of Hold Up.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Scope on YouTube. Bye!